I came across an article by Greg Newkirk from Weekend Weird shortly after I uploaded part 1 of my ongoing investigation of the Brown Mountain Lights, and I've been wanting to do a video on it for a while. But first, if you've never heard of the Brown Mountain Lights, I'd recommend you watch part 1 before you watch this. There's a link to part 1, as well as a link to the article in the description below. In this video, we will discuss the extraordinary case of a fellow by the name of Ralph Lael and his alleged close encounter with the Brown Mountain Light phenomenon. Now personally, I share Greg's skepticism of Mr. Lael's claims. Though the Brown Mountain Lights are a very real phenomenon, Lael's story is a bit too fanciful for even me to believe. Nonetheless, I encourage you to come to your own conclusion. But true or not, his account still makes for one heck of a good campfire story. That said, let's begin. Ralph Lael was a salesman by trade, but was fascinated by unexplained phenomena. After hearing about the mysterious Brown Mountain Lights, he set out to see them one evening in 1961, but he was about to get more than he bargained for. As the lights began to appear, he felt compelled to brave the rugged terrain in order to approach them. As he inched ever closer, he began to feel a strange numbing sensation that he believed was somehow caused by the anomalous lights. By now he was only feet away from one of the wandering orbs. He followed this orb into a cave located near the base of the mountain. Inside the cave, a large boulder slid open to expose a glowing, crystalline series of tunnels deep inside the mountain. Lael followed the orb until they reached a chamber which emitted a bright, magnificent light. He claims the orb spoke to him, saying, "Do not fear, there is no danger here." The orb explained that it was from the planet Venus and had a message for mankind. The orb claimed that humans had actually developed on another planet known as Pewam. This planet had been devastated in an accident involving the splitting of an electron, and that humans on Earth were nearing the point where we might repeat that mistake. Lael was tasked with spreading this warning to mankind. A few weeks later, he returned to the cave and was given a warm welcome. On this visit, the light being offered to take him to Venus on one of their craft. Lael eagerly took them up on their offer, and off they went. Upon arrival, he was greeted not by light beings, but rather by very beautiful beings that bore a very close resemblance to humans. He was particularly struck by one particular female. The Venusian woman and Lael immediately connected, and in more ways than one. After a rather steamy encounter, the woman shared many aspects of Venusian culture and their knowledge of the cosmos with Lael before sending him back to the cave at Brown Mountain. He was then led out of the subterranean labyrinth through a section he had not previously seen. Along the way, he came across a very well-preserved body. The mummified remains were not that of a human, nor of any other life form Lael had ever encountered. It's unclear if there was any connection between the mummy and the light beings, but supposedly the body belonged to some sort of extraterrestrial, possibly another alien race that had used the cave system in the distant past, but the details are a bit foggy. Whatever the case, the light beings permitted Mr. Lael to take the body back with him. Lael showed the alien mummy to his friends and family as proof of his wild story. This is the only known photograph of the alien mummy. The body was displayed in his store and drew quite a bit of attention. Some questioned its authenticity, but Lael remained steadfast that the peculiar item was quite genuine. I recently collaborated with my good friend and fellow YouTuber Ben Miller in a series entitled The Danger of UFO Research, A Disturbing Trend. One recurring theme in this series is the constant harassment of individuals who try to raise public awareness on issues relating to UFOs and aliens. Like many others discussed in that series, Ralph Lael also claimed that he was repeatedly harassed by government agents, and perhaps even by the notorious Men in Black. Rumors continue to circulate that these agents, who ridiculed Mr. Lael and declared the mummy was a hoax, would secretly offer him vast sums of money for it. No matter the offer, he was unwilling to part with the strange attraction that brought his store so much attention. Other individuals discussed in that series were, at one time, in possession of information, official documents, or other physical objects to back up their claims. But such pieces of evidence have a funny way of disappearing. Sadly, the alien mummy would suffer this fate. It simply vanished one day, and its whereabouts remain unknown. As such, it's impossible to definitively prove its authenticity or expose it as a hoax. At this point, we can only speculate. I haven't been able to find a lot of information about how Mr. Lael died, other than the fact that he passed away in 1978 at the age of 69. So was this man a liar, lunatic, or legit? Before you come to your own conclusion, consider this. We know that life, as we know it, cannot exist on the surface of Venus. But what about underground? There's another case from the late 1950s involving an alleged humanoid from Venus by the name of Valiant Thor. I'll probably cover this case at some point in the future, but even if certain elements were proven to be fictitious, it's still a pretty interesting story. Valiant Thor claimed that there was a whole society of advanced humanoids just like himself, living in underground bases deep beneath the surface of Venus. He spent several years on Earth before returning to his home in a cigar-shaped craft. Considering as how we humans are planning to establish a colony on Mars, the idea of a habitable environment deep underground on Venus doesn't sound so far-fetched, given the proper technology and equipment. But back to the Brown Mountain Lights. Michaela and I recently returned to Brown Mountain this past November 2016 for 2 nights. It was quite cold, just above freezing. I had high hopes of locating this cave, as well as being the first to film the lights up close. For these reasons, we made the difficult hike down and set up camp at the bottom of the mountain. Unfortunately, the spot we chose proved to be a very poor location to view the lights. Despite our efforts, we were also unable to locate the cave. The hike back up while carrying about 100 pounds worth of gear took up the better part of day 2. On the second night, we set up camp in the parking lot by Wiseman's View. I have, without fail, always seen the lights from Wiseman's View, just not up close. Before we even had the chance to make the 5-minute walk down to the lookout point, it began to rain. Figuring we'd wait out the rain, we hung out in the tent for a while. That was about 7 p.m. or so. The rain only intensified. By around 11, I discovered that my trusty old tent was no longer waterproof. By 4 a.m., we were completely drenched, freezing cold, and the inside of our tent looked more like a kiddie pool. Dangerously close to hypothermia, we spent the rest of the night shivering in my car. We never even made it to the lookout point, making this trip the only trip I have ever taken to Brown Mountain and not seen the lights. Sure, the trip had some highlights, but all in all, it pretty much sucked. We do plan on returning sometime this summer. Hopefully we'll have more luck locating the cave and getting some up-close footage of the lights, but next time, with a brand new tent. So it's been a while since I've showcased another channel, but this is something I plan to still occasionally do for channels that I like. The channel that I'd like to talk about today is Beyond Creepy. This channel primarily focuses on specific and lesser known cases of encounters with aliens, cryptids, spirits, and the like. He also covers other topics that I think would be captivating to anyone, even to those who don't have a particular interest in the paranormal. The video of his that I'd like to promote isn't necessarily paranormal in nature, but a fascinating mystery nonetheless. I don't want to give away what it's about because I don't think I would do it justice, but this video absolutely blew my mind. You can view it by clicking here. Be sure to subscribe to his channel too by clicking here. Check out Brown Mountain Lights Part 1 and the Danger of UFO Research Part 1 as well. Click here to subscribe to my channel, and one more thing. YouTube recently changed its format, so make sure you click on the bell icon if you want to be notified when I release new videos. As always, my friends, thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.